like doing this work, the somatics, the energy, you recognize patterns in people and yourself and others. And one of the themes that I've noticed in doing this embodiment work, the somatics work, is that we're consistently, ancestrally, DNA wired to be at war with our wild, okay? And so the other night I was trying to go to sleep, I'm laying there, and of course, as many of you know, this is the time where like, as we're just kind of settling down and we're opening up to fall asleep, oftentimes things will come through. And Spirit Source was like, you need to write this down. And I was like, it's just really cozy and starting to fall asleep. Like, I don't want to. And back and forth is like, it's not going to stop until you write it down. So I wrote it down. And basically what I wrote down was, your wild has been weaponized. It's been weaponized as something to go to war with. And so in order to see our wild as something that's been weaponized, we have to see our wild as damaging, destructive, savage, all of these things that ancestrally and collectively as a humanity, we have been conditioned to believe about wild, about indigenous, about being close to the earth and what that actually means. Now, there's a lot of new age, like getting back close to the earth. But what I want to make very clear is that we can consciously, right, think things, know things, want to be close to the earth, start our organic garden, start doing, some of this work. But ultimately, at a subconscious level, if we are still at war with our wilds, we will keep it here. We will keep it here. We will keep it in our minds. And we won't embody it. We won't have compassion for that part of ourselves. We won't have compassion for the wild within us, right? And so there's a lot of like things within this time period, especially coming into this fall, where the body never lies. The body keeps the score, right? The body keeps score. And as we're going into this fall, what's being made very clear to me in my work and the work that I do with others is that we can no longer deny what our body's feeling. We can no longer intellectualize what our body is feeling. We can no longer gaslight ourselves, bully ourselves into being a certain way. So hi, if you're just joining, I'm talking about this energy that's really coming through around healing and making peace with our wild, owning our wild. And this is part of why I'm hosting Inanna's Temple. It is an 8-week journey with me into the darkest part of the year as we go from fall into winter to release, cleanse, purify our temple and any of the subconscious or collective grief, submission, taking on energies that aren't ours, that has happened within our family's history, within our history, within our bodies, within our soul's journey. And it's such a powerful time to do this work. And so if you don't know the story of Inanna, I'll tell that in just a moment. But I just want to kind of wrap up with what I wrote down and how it played into today. So I didn't know why I had to write this down, but I just did it, right? Like oftentimes it's when we're like just opening and receiving that, and like I wrote it down and I put it away. I didn't think about it. And this morning when I was working with this client who is so beautiful and so like just fully, again, there is that part that we just have to open to the work working through us, right? And so me writing that down was opening to the work working through me. Her today and her ability to just go in with me and like alchemize some stuff that wasn't even all hers, so that she can experience more freedom, more of her wild. It was beautiful. And there's a part of that you have to be open enough to experience that, right? And at the end of our session, at the end of our time, I was like, holy shit. What I just said to her is related to what I wrote down. And what I wrote down was, our wild has been weaponized. We are at war with our own wilds. We're at war with our own wilds within our feminine being. We're at war with our own wild with our children. We're at war with our own wild within our homes. And this energy, how do we really like stop that, right? Like, where does it end? Because ultimately we can have a lot of conscious, like, intellectual knowing about, oh yeah, well, I should accept my moon cycle. I should accept these aspects of being a feminine. I should accept my emotions. All the shoulds, you can use all the shoulds you want in the world. But if you're not going in and being with the parts of yourself that have been harmed, that have been weaponized against you around your own emotions, around your own feelings, around your own energy, around your own wilds, we're never going to get that alchemy. We're never going to get to that place, right? So this fall is the invitation to come into your body even more, to come into your deep compassion for yourself, and to really make space and room for spirit to work through you. Because ultimately, the thing that I said that helped her was something that spirit came to me and shared with me 2 nights before that wouldn't let me not write down. And so now I'm sharing it with you all. I hope this helps you. And it's part of what Inanna's journey is all about. So if you don't know about Inanna, the queen of the earth realm and the higher realms, one of the things that is important to know is that Inanna is the OG Venus representation, the OG Aphrodite representation. And one thing that gets really twisted in today's society is, again, the lack of wild, the lack of understanding of the kind of warrior spirit that is within each and every one of us around this Venusian energy. Love and war are 2 sides of the same coin. And so in Inanna's temple, we learn how to alchemize this duality. We learn how to alchemize within ourselves any feelings of not accepting the full breadth of the feminine. So not only do you learn in Inanna's temple to honor your wild, because where does our intuition lie? Where does our most primal knowing lie? It lies in our wild. So if we are continually gaslighting ourselves around our intuition and our feeling, it comes from this place of being at war with the wild. And one of the things that I was working with this client with today was around the colonization and the basically the ending of the indigenous tribes worldwide. That's not just unique to one place on the planet, worldwide. And how that happened was by being at war with the wild. What's the opposite of wild? Being tame, docile, behaving, right? Like, all of these things are integrated into our being as safety. It's safe to be docile. It's safe to be tame. It's safe to be behaved. It is not safe to be wild. And so in Inanna's temple, we go in and we do all this work around recultivating that wild in a safe, beautiful way to shed this conditioning that we've been carrying for far too long. And these limiting beliefs that we have about what's possible, what's capable for humans, right? So how many times I work with so many people and they're like, you're going to think I'm crazy. And I'm like, do you know what work I do? Like, this is like the biggest work there is. And so I think it's wild that today in 2022, we are still carrying so much conditioning and cultural programming about what's deep in 2022. I think it's crazy. What we deem as crazy versus what we deem as sane. And that right there is enough to drive some people to insanity. Taking your kid to a doctor's appointment and what Western medicine thinks is healthy is insane. Taking your kid to school and seeing what they're feeding kids is insane, right? So like, we have to really understand that we are being gaslit into what is acceptable for humans, for our progression as a species, and it all comes back to the feminine. So in Inanna's temple, it's an 8-week deep dive into the energetics, the astrology, the deep somatic work to attune yourself to your own wild in a way that helps you to purify, alchemize, and be in tune with your intuition at such a deep level. This is a mystery school. I don't share a lot of what I actually do. And people will say this to me again and again. They get in the space with me and they're like, oh, I had no idea. And it's like, well, this is a very masculine space, right? And it's a very toxic masculine space. It's becoming with a lot of censorship and a lot of other things. This is not the space where we do the magic. And if you can catch a glimmer or glimpse of someone's magic on here, that's beautiful, because that means that you have that within yourself for you to be able to see it. But it's not where we can do the deep, deep, beautiful, mysterious, sacred, feminine work. That can only happen when we're in a space that is held, right, by that. So I'm excited to see who steps into this journey. It not only will contain your astrological chart and your gene keys, but it's also going to contain just the deep somatic and energetic work that's going to help you transmute whatever you're still holding on to from last year, your last partner, your parents, your ancestry, all of the things. Like, this is the time to purify and clear the poison and transmute it back into your power, transmute it back into your pleasure, because ultimately this is what this experience is all about. The evolution of being human right now is about transmuting all the junk DNA, all the garbage, and really opening up to this new path that's available for humans. This is the biggest work, right? So if you hear what I'm saying to you and you feel this invitation, you feel it in your body, check out the link in my profile. I have early registration up until October 2nd. So the early registration is $444 for 8 weeks together, or there's a payment plan. And then it's gonna jump up, I forget, I think it's $777. So definitely, if you're feeling this, like, something's gotta change, something's gotta shift, I don't know exactly what it is, but you feel this invitation to be in space and sacred community with me, let's go. Let's go. So this is the opportunity. We start at the point where the sun and Venus are conjunct in the sky, and the sun will be at the last degree of Libra. And then we travel together into not only the sun in Scorpio, but Venus in Scorpio. So this is the deepest of the deep. It's the deep time. A lot of people struggle with this time of year, myself included, when the sun starts to wane. And I know for me, it helps to be in community. And I know for me, it helps me to help others, because then I can see and feel my purpose, right? So, we are also at a point where Venus reaches this apex of her star point position. So she makes the star in the sky, right? Like, she hits these points in the sky. And so we're going to start on the day where she creates that point at 29 degrees of Libra. Keep checking back in. If you follow my page and you want to see more about that, I'll be sharing more in the stories about what that actually means and how that interprets into your life, into your heart, into your body. And just know that if you are still a feeling, sensitive, intuitive being on the planet at this point, you deserve celebration, because it has been a rough ride. And so you've been conditioned to be at war with your wilds. And ultimately, that war is ending. And when that war ends, we get to come back to our truth. We get to come back to the full breadth of the human experience. And what's going to come online is more intuition, more knowing, more of a felt sense, more of a way of knowing how to move forward and recreate a new way of being on planet Earth. This is feminine led. It's not woman led. It's feminine led. It's the intuition. It's the senses. It's our receptivity and our ability to co-create with each other. This is the new way. This is the new invitation. And a lot of people won't receive that invitation, but it doesn't mean that it's not there, and it doesn't mean that it's not happening. So if you want to be a part of this, Check out the link in my profile. Join us for Inanna's temple. I love you all. Have a beautiful Venus day.